Hey everybody, it's Ron. Hope you're having a great week. We're in the middle of the week already, but I just wanted to send out this video. I didn't send one out this past Sunday, but I had shared live and speaking, and I was continuing along with our focus on the Sermon on the Mount with Jesus, and when Jesus is teaching, basically bringing into fullness all of what the law and all of the commandments of God and all of what the prophet said. He's bringing it all into focus. A lot of what Jesus shares in the Sermon on the Mount is basically going through the Ten Commandments and teaching us how to pray, how to not take the Lord's God name in vain. And that's not about, I was doing some study on that and sharing it with with Susan and my kids and talking to them about that. It's not about what we say. It's not about our language. It's about the stamp of God being upon our life and us not living lives in vain for God. And so he goes through all kinds of, you've heard it taught not to commit adultery. I say this, and Jesus goes through all these different things about that. And then he teaches us to pray, and I shared on that of what a simple concept and yet so profound of what he talks about in the Lord's Prayer is what we call it, but it's our prayer. And he teaches us, and I challenged us to say, let's start praying that in our lives, just in our own way. And some of you have taken that on and just to start to challenge yourself in your prayer and your prayer life. So I want to continue this process, finishing up the 6th chapter of Matthew. And again, the Sermon on the Mount is basically Matthew 5, 6, and 7, where Jesus is teaching as he goes up on the hillside there and begins teaching the multitudes. And if we just stayed right there, if we just hung out right there, we could really just grow in our relationship with the Lord if we just begin to apply it. Because everything that he's talking about is heart issues. And what we tend to do as humanity is, hey, I don't want the deep stuff. I don't want the heartfelt stuff. I don't want to deal with my inner man. Just tell me what not to do, and I'll get, so I can get to heaven. And Jesus kind of comes and takes away all that stuff, and he says, here's what it's all about. And going, putting a new twist on the law and what the prophets shared, and presenting, and as I've said for years now, representing God to the world. Because this is who God really is in the life and the character of Jesus. It's God saying, I want to show you who I really am to you. I'm not the angry old man in heaven trying to rain down fire on you. I am the loving, caring God, and this is who I am. See him. I think it's so powerful that when Jesus is anointed for ministry and he's baptized by John in the River Jordan, and he comes up out of the water and the dove descends upon him, the Holy Spirit comes upon him, and the voice speaks from heaven and said, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. And don't we all really, that's what we want. We want a dad that's pleased with us. We want someone that's honored by our life. That's not taking the Lord's God name, his name in vain. Jesus was not doing that. He was like, that's my Father. And he's saying he's pleased with me. And that's what we're wanting to hear from the voice of God. And Jesus is showing us this is how the kingdom works, and inviting us into a lifelong journey of growing in this aspect. And so I pick up in Matthew 6, verse 19, and I'm not going to read everything to you here, but this is out of the Passion Translation, but it says, don't keep hoarding for yourselves earthly treasures that can be stolen by thieves. Material wealth eventually rusts, decays, and loses its value. Instead, stockpile heavenly treasures for yourselves, that cannot be stolen, will never rust, decay, or lose their value. For your heart will always pursue what you value as your treasure. The eyes of your spirit allow revelation light to enter into your being. Your heart is unclouded. The light floods in. But if your eyes are focused on money, the light cannot penetrate and darkness takes its place. How profound will be the darkness within you if the light of truth cannot enter? And so growing up, I was taught that, well, then money must be evil. And it's so far from the truth. Money is an inanimate object and has nothing to do with any of that. Jesus, like everything, he's saying there is a perspective. There's a heart perspective that what do we value in our lives? And if it's just stuff, then Jesus is saying you're going to miss it. If it's just having bigger and better and more and more and more, then we're missing it. If we're just pursuing money for the status, he came to destroy all that status stuff. He came to put all of that away. And he's saying, listen, the what you value in life of, God, I want to do for you, and I want to be for you, and I want to have your purpose and your passion and your heart towards not only God, but for mankind. And it's so powerful what the Lord's saying to us here and what he's challenging us with. I shared this past Sunday one of my 4 rules that I've now adopted for my life. And rule number 1 is this, is that life isn't what you get out of it. It's what you give to it. And I think that's what Jesus is saying to you. What do you value? It's this. We're not living this life to see what all we can get. Take all life and go for all the gusto. That's not what Jesus is saying. Life is about what we give to it. And then all that other stuff comes back to us. And he goes on in the scriptures here and he talks about, what we worry about, the food and the clothing and the clothes and things like that. And he talks about the birds of the air and how well they're taken care of and, beautiful in who they are. And God, if he cares for them, how much more does he care for us? And then he talks about worry. And so many people that I know, they're worried constantly. I mean, think about the season that we're in with this COVID thing. And there's people afraid and fearful and worried. Listen, this is not our home. If your perspective is, man, just trying to hold on to this life, I'm here to give to this life of my life. I'm here to give out of myself. And when it's done and when I've done all I can, okay, God, I'm ready to meet you and ready to go on and live the fullness of my life in his presence. And so, man, we miss so much because we worry so much. And worry is actually trying to have 2 thoughts at the same time. It's a double-mindedness. James writes, a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And so we can't, have faith in God and simultaneously be worried about the issues of life. And if anything in our lives, if we could just say, just stop worrying. And listen, when your heart is focused on fulfilling God's purpose, then worry has no place in there. And fear has no place in there. And we all I battle it. That thoughts come to me and can start, I can wake up in the morning and start my day, just thinking something and, I got to handle this and I got to handle that. And this is coming, how am I going to, and I just have to, Father, your name be great in my life. Your kingdom come, your will be done. That's all. This is the same verses of scripture. I mean, we break it up with numbers and things like that and different paragraphs. That's not what he was talking to us. And that's how he was telling. That's how you pray. That's how you overcome worry. And he says, Today's problems are enough for today. Just line them up and deal with them. When you line up problems that are in front of you, you can't see to the end of the line of the problems. You just take one at a time and deal with it as the priority that they are, and then move on. And he says, tomorrow's got its own issues, and life's tough at times. It is, and that's the reality. There are tough things, but why worry about it? Let's have the heart of God. Let's value and treasure what God values and treasures. Let's put first his kingdom and his righteousness and make our focus there. Let's not try to figure out, I'm trying to get everything out of life that I can. I'm trying to give everything to life that I can. I want to give away my life. I want to give away my purpose. I want to serve God's purpose. And listen, all that other stuff will be added back to me. That's okay. I get to participate in the life that we have here, and that's a great thing. And so I just want to encourage you with that today. Take some time, read the Sermon on the Mount, read Matthew 6, and just ponder it for a while, and just say, God, help me. Help me to have forgiveness. Help me to have peace of mind. Help me to not worry about anything. Help me to line up my problems and prioritize them and handle them one by one and not stress over everything. And man, what an ease of life. Jesus actually said that the burden of living for him is light and easy. It's not a hard thing. We make it very difficult, and religion makes it very difficult. Don't be religious minded as the Pharisees do. Oh, I got to follow this and follow that. And man, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and don't try to figure it out for yourself, but acknowledge him in everything that you do. And man, the peace of God's going to come into your heart and your life. And so I love you with it. I pray that you just receive that into your spirit today. And I bless you with health and healing and wisdom and knowledge and power and prosperity and the gifts and the fruits of the Spirit of God to be evident and flowing in your life. And just praying that you have a fantastic week. Looking forward to talking with you again.